Now we turn to this week's App of the Week. For those of you that were listening to episode 39, you'll have heard us interview Gleb from Voxmate. And this week, I demonstrate the Voxmate app. Hello, everyone. I'm Ed Green. And in this week's App of the Week, I'm going to be showing you the Voxmate app. For those of you unfamiliar with Voxmate, I suggest you listen to episode 39 of the Blind Android Users podcast, where we interviewed the Voxmate developer. Voxmate's an all-in-one platform. It enables users to navigate their Android device with a much simpler gesture set than you need in order to be able to use TalkBack. It includes a number of apps for making phone calls, listening to podcasts, listening to radio stations, reading world news, playing games, interacting with certain social media platforms, as well as an audio forum. It's got an interesting backstory, a human interest story. The founder told us that his co-founder's father lost his sight, and the app was born out of frustration, really, that some of the readily available, accessible solutions didn't meet his needs. So his daughter, the co-founder, and the founder got together, created this app. One thing led to another, and here it is. It is a subscription app, albeit you can access it for a limited time for free. Currently, it's 75% off the planned retail price. It's currently in early access. And that equates to $3 something for a monthly subscription. There's an annual subscription option as well, and you'll be able to find pricing if you download the app. I have subscribed, but I've cleared the cache and storage. So I anticipate that it'll let us set it up almost from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the app.
Voxmate. Open button. Voxmate setup. Heading out of list. Read the news. Play games and stay in touch with just 4 swipes. By continuing, you agree to accept our terms of use. Begin setup button. Double tap.
So I'm just sliding my finger down the screen. Begin setup, sort of in the bottom middle.
Heading. Will you be using Voxmate yourself, or are you setting it up for someone? I'll use it. Button. I am the co-pilot. Button.
So because Voxmate is an app which relies on a simpler gesture set, it's obviously not primarily aimed at advanced TalkBack users. That might mean that the primary user of Voxmate is not going to be in a position to set it up independently, which is why we have these two options. Are you going to be using it yourself, or are you, as they call it, the co-pilot? Are you essentially setting it up for someone else? I am going to be using it.
I'll use it. Button.
So I'm going to hit this button, that button. That again, both buttons are towards the bottom of the screen in the middle. The button to set this up for yourself is slightly above the other one, although they're relatively close together. So we're setting it up for me. I'm going to double tap this.
Capital V. You can change your preference later in Voxmate. Voxmate works best without TalkBack, but they also work side by side if you add an extra finger to all gestures.
So what that means is you'll be familiar with the fact that you can perform certain system gestures with TalkBack with 2 fingers. So for instance, to pull down the notification shade, it's 2 fingers with TalkBack. That is a 1 finger swipe down for sighted users. This works in a similar fashion. It's a self-voicing app, so you can set it up without TalkBack, and then you use 1 finger to perform its gestures. If you set it up with TalkBack, you use 2 fingers. For now, I'm going to set it up with TalkBack, but I'm going to go and change it. I'll explain why I've done that in a minute, but I am going to set it up with TalkBack.
Use without TalkBack button. Use with TalkBack button.
And again, these buttons are they're in the middle of the screen towards the bottom. I'm on the setting it up with TalkBack. That's the lower of the 2 buttons.
Capital S. Please set up step 2 of 5. Heading. Please sign in with a Google account.
So it wants me to sign in with a Google account.
Sign in with Google button.
I'm going to do that.
Double tap. Google Play Services. Choose an account. To continue to Voxmate. Edward Green. Green 1.
That's me.
Google Play Services. Voxmate setup. Setup step 2 of 5. Heading out of list. It can be more comfortable to grant all permissions in one go. We only ask for necessary permissions, like using your camera for scanning printed text.
There we go. So Voxmate, as I say, it can make phone calls, it can play various things, it can scan text. So it will need some permissions.
Skip for now. Grant permissions.
Grant permissions is the higher of the two buttons. Again, the buttons are towards the bottom in the middle of the screen. I went up from the bottom, which is why you heard skip for now. The grant permissions is the button above that. I'm going to double tap it.
Allow Voxmate to take pictures and record video while using the app.
I'm going to do that while using the app. It landed me on the while using the app button. I haven't touched anything.
Allow Voxmate to access this device's location while using the app button.
It does have a facility to scan what's around you, so I am going to allow this.
Allow Voxmate to record audio while using the app button.
As I say, it has an audio forum, so this seems a reasonable permission as well.
Allow Voxmate to access your contacts. Allow button.
It can make and manage phone calls, so I'm going to allow this.
Allow Voxmate to make and manage phone calls. Allow button.
Again, as I said, phone calls, so I'll let this happen as well.
Allow Voxmate to access your calendar. Allow button.
I'm going to allow it to access my calendar.
Allow Voxmate to access photos and media on your device. Allow button.
And I'm going to allow it to do that as well.
Voxmate.
Welcome. This is a short tutorial to show you the basics of Voxmate. To skip the tutorial, draw a counterclockwise circle on the screen. To use Voxmate, you mostly need 4 swipes: up, down, left and right.
Try swiping up. Put your finger in the middle of the screen and flick up.
So it's outlined the main 4 gestures: up, down, left and right.
There is a thumb on the screen, and you are trying to brush it off with just one finger.
Try swiping up. Put your finger in the middle of the screen and flick up.
Faster. Swipe up and down.
Oh, well, I'm running it with talkback, aren't I? So 2
Try
fingers.
swiping up. Put your finger in the mid. Try swiping down. Put your finger in the middle of the screen and flick down.
I forgot how I set it up. Then I tried to use one finger.
Use up and down swipes to jump between items in menus.
Try swiping left. Put your finger in the middle of the screen and flick left.
So I'll flick left.
Try swiping right. Put your finger in the middle of the screen and flick right.
And I'll flick right.
Use the swipe right gesture to activate an option in menus. Use the swipe left gesture to go back. Let's try all the gestures together. Try finding banana in this menu by swiping up or down. When you find it, swipe right to activate.
Apple.
So you use up and down to navigate, right to confirm, left to back out. So I'm going to find banana, swiping down.
Orange. Mango. Banana.
And now I'm going to confirm it with the swipe right.
Try finding banana again, but this time from a submenu.
Vegetables.
Bananas aren't vegetables, so I'm going to go down.
Fruits.
Now, to enter a submenu, that's our swipe right again.
Apple. Banana.
And here's banana. And again, to confirm, as with going into a menu, it's swipe right.
Now you've got the basics to start using Voxmate. Pay attention to this sound. This sound indicates a helpful hint. Hints are repeated a number of times, but then stop. Here's your first hint. Did you know that we have more tutorials? You can find them in Settings, Help, Tutorials. Main menu. Voxmate.
Phone.
So now we are in the Voxmate app proper. You heard the first menu item is phone. I'm just going to navigate the main menu.
Entertainment. Social.
I'm doing this with our swipe down.
Games. Resources. Utilities. Early access feedback. Settings.
It's now 21 hours 47 minutes and 0 seconds.
And
There
that's
are no new messages.
that's the bottom of the main menu.
Messages and weather.
To prove that,
Phone.
I'll go down and there is phone. I'm going to go into settings first of all, partly because I want to change one of them. And the reason I loaded this to work with TalkBack was that if I hadn't, once we finished the permissions, it would have warned me that TalkBack was running while also trying to voice that tutorial. And we would have had the TalkBack warning potentially talking over and at worst cutting off the start of that handy tutorial on how to use the app. And I wanted you to hear that tutorial. Actually using this with TalkBack means that I have to add an extra finger, as we were discussing, as we did system settings, and I forgot first time. So I'm going to go and turn that off before I forget again. And actually, I want to show you some of the other settings anyway. We'll get into the good stuff, like how the actual applets or apps work, but I do want to show you settings first, as I say, so I don't make that mistake again in part.
It's now 21.
Settings.
Here's settings. I'm going to swipe right to open settings.
Manage subscription.
I don't need to manage my subscription. I've got one.
Preferences.
Let's see what else is in settings. We'll come back up to preferences, but
Log in to portal.
I will talk about the portal in a minute.
Permissions.
We granted all the permissions. We don't need to go in there.
Plugins. Launcher.
Launcher. Now, instead of having to open Voxmate as an app, you could set it as your launcher, which essentially means that whenever you turn your phone on or unlock your phone, Voxmate is going to pop up. I don't want Voxmate as my launcher. I'm not going to set it, but you could set it in your home screen settings as well as in here. Yeah, that's what that would do. It would essentially make sure that Voxmate was always running for you.
Help.
And help. They mentioned that there were other tutorials. Those are in here, along with some FAQs.
Quit Voxmate.
And we can quit Voxmate.
Manage subscription.
And we're back round to manage subscription.
Preferences.
It's preferences that I want to go into.
Text to speech.
Let's have a look. We've got text to speech.
Touch keyboard is US QWERTY keyboard simple mode. Your device is flagship.
I'm swiping down.
Device power has implications on text-to-speech generation and might be used to optimize your experience.
Yeah, I've set mine as flagship. Basically, if you have a slower phone, Voxmate might take longer to do stuff, depending on what phone setting you have it on. So you want to set it to budget or mid-range if you have a budget or mid-range phone. Say it has a scanning feature, for instance. So do you want it to take a very, very, very long time to generate a good result, or do you want an acceptable result in a quicker time? You hear Gleb, the co-founder, Gleb, the founder, talk about this on episode 39. But if you have a mid-range or a budget phone, set this setting accordingly and your phone will perform better.
Measurement unit preference is metric. TalkBack compatibility mode is enabled.
This is one of the settings I want to change. I've just been...
Compatibility mode. You can use Voxmate without disabling TalkBack by adding an extra finger to all gestures.
I hope I don't need to say it every time, but I've been navigating these settings by swiping down. I am going to change this though.
Enabled.
So it said enabled. I'm going to swipe down.
Disabled.
I'm going to swipe right to confirm.
TalkBack compatibility mode is disabled.
And now I'm going to unload
With
TalkBack.
TalkBack compatibility mode, you can use Voxmate without disabling TalkBack by adding an extra finger to all gestures.
TalkBack off.
And TalkBack's now off. So I can use one finger and not forget that I needed to put two on.
Tap and hold to pause gesture is disabled.
I'm going to swipe
Tap
down
and
again.
hold your finger will pause Voxmate.
Haptic feedback is enabled. Visuals. Text to speech.
I'm going to go and look at the text-to-speech settings because I want to show you something in here I got confused about when I first downloaded Voxmate.
Change voices. Voice speed is normal. Normal.
So I swiped right to go into the speech rate. I made two mistakes. The first is I assumed normal meant that I could decrease and increase the speed. I thought that normal was in the middle. Actually, normal means slowest, and it's at the top of the menu. So because I thought normal was in the middle, I swiped up to increase the speech. But bear in mind, I'm at the top of the menu already. So what it actually did, it wrapped and put it on the highest speech setting possible. I'll show you what happened. I'm on normal. I swiped up thinking I would increase speed.
4x.
So 4x, 4 times the speech, and I swiped right.
Speed is wet. Never use unscripted. Change voices.
Quick, right? Happily, I can still understand it, so I can go in and fix it.
Never use unscripted. Speed is wet.
I'm going to swipe right. You might not have understood. It said that we were back on voice speed.
Wet.
It's on normal. I swiped down. I'm going to swipe right again.
Voice speed is normal.
to set it back to something we can understand. Now I'm going to swipe right,
Normal.
and I'm going to cycle through the different options for speeding this up. And you do that by swiping down. I won't set any of them. I'll just show you what they are.
Rapid. Fast. Faster. Double. Quick. Triple. Insane. 4x.
Now, I'm not wild about these. I get double, 4x, triple. I don't know why, how you decide which out of quick, rapid, and fast are quickest. Obviously, faster is faster than fast, if that's not getting a bit too circular. But I'm not convinced about some of those names that aren't numbers. I don't think they readily form a hierarchical rank. But anyway, you're swiping down, it's getting quicker. Just ignore the names. I'm going to swipe left because I want to keep it on normal.
Voice speed is normal.
Now I'm going to carry on looking down in these text-to-speech settings.
Network use is unrestricted.
I'm happy with network use is unrestricted.
Reduces network use, if enabled, but may provide a worse speech.
Oh dear. Well, that wouldn't be very good. I'm on unlimited data connection, so I don't really care. Let's go and see what the options are. Though I'm going to swipe right.
Unrestricted. Restricted. Unrestricted.
Oh, well, we have unrestricted and restricted. I'm going to swipe left.
Network use is unrestricted. Change voices.
And this will show you any other text-to-speech voices that you have on your system. I'm happy with using the voice we're currently using.
Voice speed is normal.
Now, I want to show you something else. So we're quite deep in here. We're in text-to-speech. Well, we're in settings, text-to-speech, voice. I'm going to go into speed again, just to get us even deeper. Now, I could swipe left on multiple occasions, and I will do that clockwise circle, and we'll get a context-sensitive help.
Help.
You are in the text-to-speech settings menu. If you select text-to-speech options that break your experience, you can reset your settings at my.voxmate.com.
So that was the portal we heard about before, and that's what I could have done if I couldn't understand the thing when it was on 4 times speech. To get back to that Voxmate main menu, you draw an anti-clockwise circle on the screen, a counterclockwise. So that's to say, if you start at 6 o'clock, you go right towards 3 o'clock and all the way around. I'll do that.
Voxmate.
Phone.
There you go, straight back to the main menu instead of having to go into swiping left into speech rate, into text to speech, into settings, blah, blah, blah. Three or four swipes, we've saved ourselves there. I know what you're thinking, those of you that used Android for a long time. Oh dear, we used to do this and Talkback abandoned them because they were a nightmare. We used to navigate menus in circles, didn't we? Back in, I don't know, Jelly Bean, ice cream sandwich. Happily, screens are a lot more forgiving. So we're on the phone app now. I'm going to swipe right.
Phone book.
So phone book is our contacts. Let's have a look at here.
AAA.
1 of 422.
Adrian Cochran. Adrian Cochran. Adrian Whitehouse. Ira Support. Al Rosenbaum. Al Rosenbaum. Alan Lewis. Alan Lewis.
9 of 422.
So there we are. We're in contacts. I'm going to go back up.
Al, Ira, Adrian, triple.
Add new contact. Search.
So we have search now. I am going to swipe right.
Use the double tap and hold command to search for your contact.
So let's see if it'll find a contact. My wife's called Katie Kins.
Use the double tap and hold command to search for your contact.
So I store her as Kins for short because Katie Kins is long. Kins.
Searching for Kins. Kins.
1 of 4.
So it's found Kins. That's good. What I find when I do double tap and search, double tap and hold to search, is you get the familiar Google Assistant type noise when you do that. I find it slightly better if you keep your finger held on the screen until you hear the second noise that you heard after I said Kins. Well, the first noise is the trigger noise. I say Kins. Then you heard a second sort of confirmatory noise. Then I released my finger. I don't know if I'm meant to have to do that. What I find though is if I don't, it's not always reliable. So if I release my finger from the screen immediately after having said my contact name or in other search functions, I find it doesn't always work. So yeah, I keep my finger down on the screen until I've heard that confirmatory noise. We found Kins. I'm going to swipe right.
Call Kins.
I can call her. What else can I do?
Star contact.
I can star her as a favorite.
Change contact name.
I could change her name.
Add additional phone number.
And another phone number.
Delete phone number.
Delete.
Delete contact.
And I could delete her. I don't think she'd be very impressed if I did that.
Call Kins.
So if I swipe right here.
1. Call home.
+1 6.
So it's reading her number.
Call work.
+4 4.
Call Kins.
So there we go. You'll see that it reads numbers if you give it long enough, and then, as you'd expect, you swipe right to call that number. I'm not repeating the gestures every time I do something unless I'm doing something different, because I hope we've established that it's 4 gestures in the main, up, down, left, and right. So I'm not telling you that I'm swiping right, otherwise it would get somewhat repetitive. I'm going to come out of the phone book now.
Search. Phone book.
I'm going to go down.
Dial a phone number.
And here we go.
Use up, down, left, and right to go around the dial pad. Double tap to pick numbers and symbols. 5.
So I think they've done quite well here. We're essentially in a grid or on a virtual keypad. We're on the 5. We're on the button with the dot in it. I'll see if we've got any context sensitive help. Might be interesting. I don't know if it'll tell us any more than we've already heard, but I'm going to do that clockwise circle on the screen.
Help.
Use up, down, left, and right to go around the dial pad. Double tap to pick numbers and symbols. To undo input, use the erase button at the bottom left corner of the grid. To finish input, use the submit button at the bottom right corner of the grid. You can check your current input by swiping down with 2 fingers.
So there we go. I'm going to come out of help with a swipe left.
5.
The other thing we can do to get out of this, well, I'll move around the grid first. We're on 5.
2.
I swiped up to get to 2. I'll swipe right.
3.
I'll swipe left twice.
2. 1.
And so you can see what we're doing. I'll swipe down from 1.
4. 7. Star.
On this row, we've got star
0. Hash.
and hash.
0. Star.
I'll go back.
Back.
That's the erase button.
Plus.
There's your plus if you're doing an international number.
Enter more digits, then double tap here to continue.
And we can exit this grid if we swipe off any of the edges of it. So we're in the bottom right-hand corner. So if I swipe right.
Enter more digits, then dial a phone number.
You'll see we've gone off that grid entirely. We're back on dial a phone number.
Phone book.
And we've got a phone book there.
Dial of settings.
We have phone settings. Let's have a look at these.
Make Voxmate your default dialer. Order contacts by last name is disabled. Group contacts by first letter is disabled. Make Voxmate your default dialer.
And so we have some ordering contacts options, and we can make Voxmate the default dialer. I don't want to do that. I'm going to swipe left to get out of the phone app.
Settings.
Phone.
Here we go. Let's go down 1.
Entertainment.
Let's have a look at the entertainment app then.
World News.
Let's see what world news sources we've got.
Pick which publication you would like to read.
Sky News. Daily Mail.
Just swiping down.
HuffPost UK. The Independent. The Sun. Daily Mirror. Metro Online. Daily Star. New York Post. Mashable. CNET. Observer. Fast Company. Rolling Stone. CNBC. The Verge. Vox. Fox News. NBC News. News.com.au. The Indian Express. Slate. Forward. Reuters. Chicago Tribune, ABC, CBS News, The Hill, Politico, Breitbart.
I think before, when I cut off one of them, it was going to say news.com.au, but I was a little bit zealous swiping down, and I cut off the .au. So sorry about that.
Search.
We can search.
Settings.
Some settings.
Sky News, Daily Mail, HuffPost UK, The Independent, The Sun.
Let's read an article from The Sun then. So guess what we're going to do? We're on The Sun. What do you think I'm going to do? That's right, folks. Top of the class, have a cigar. I'm swiping right.
All articles. Football.
Let's read about football. You can't go wrong doing that, can you? I'll swipe right.
Manchester United star Cristiano Ronaldo planning his own ready meals range.
1.
QPR star Chris Willock dreaming of joining Newcastle brother Joe in the Premier League.
2 of 100.
So Chris Willock used to play for my team, Huddersfield Town, on loan. I'm slightly disappointed they didn't sign him, but I might have a check out of this article. I'm going to swipe right.
Cupers Chris Willock is dreaming of joining his brother Joe in the Premier League. Youngest of three, Joe, 22, took the spotlight by sealing a £25 million move to Newcastle from Arsenal this summer.
Figure. Chris wants to emulate his brother by playing in the Premier League. Credit. Rex. Figure. Joe signed for Newcastle in the summer transfer window.
I'm just letting it read at the minute.
Figure. Joe signed for Newcastle in the summer transfer window. Credit. Rex.
But I stopped it by doing a swipe up. I can read this article in smaller increments using our up and down swipes. So I'll swipe down.
And after watching him score in 7 consecutive Premier League games on loan at Newcastle last term, winger Chris is now making his mark at QPR. 2 goals and 2 assists already this season have helped Mark Warburton's side to third in the Championship, behind big spenders Fulham and West Brom. The 23-year-old told Sunsport, "My dream is to play in the Premier League, and Joe always encourages me and believes I'm good enough. Coming from him, it goes a long way because he has been there and done it. From young kids, the dream was always to play with each other or play against each other. Hopefully one day that can happen."
So I'll swipe left.
To the trio, QPR star Chris Willock dreaming of joining Newcastle brother Joe in the Premier League.
So if any of you have
100.
dealt with those big ugly news sites, you can see that this is really quite a neat way to find articles. I mean, this is before we even get into the ads and the frames and all the other nonsense that you might find in articles themselves that you might use if you're using them in Windows, something like a JAWS flexible web to kill. You know, even finding the articles you want can be a bit of a mission on sites with 250 plus links. So something that pops up many of the popular news sites in what is essentially a list, and then just reads those articles to you and strips most of them out, with the exception of those little pictures, those figures, is, I think, something that people may find useful. As I say, this app is not necessarily, or this platform, sorry, Voxmate, is not necessarily aimed at the advanced Android user, but even the advanced Android user might welcome the simplicity that the news app offers. I'm going to come out of here.
Football. The Sun. World News.
So that was World News. I'm going to go down.
Listen to audiobooks.
Let's listen to audiobooks.
LibriVox audiobooks.
So LibriVox is a public domain catalogue of audiobooks recorded by volunteers, as I understand it.
Caliber audiobooks.
Caliber is a UK-based library. It's of interest to others, though, because it will allow users from countries which have signed and ratified the Marrakesh Treaty on the distribution of books for visually impaired. It will allow users to join directly to benefit from its download and streaming services. Now, Marrakesh is really only about libraries exchanging information and books, but Caliber have sort of very sensibly, in my view, cut out that middleman, so NLS don't need to act as your Caliber distributor. If you're in the States, you can sign up for Caliber's digital and downloads service, which I think is very good. I haven't set Caliber up on here, but I will show you LibriVox.
LibriVox audiobooks.
My bookshelf. Browse books by genre. Search.
I don't really know what LibriVox has. I know it's a public domain limited thing, so I'm not gonna search or anything. I'll browse a book there and see what we want to leave in it.
Browse books by
Classics, Greek and Latin antiquity.
Crikey, classics, Greek and Latin antiquity. Okay, let's have a look at this.
All in classics, Greek and Latin antiquity. Asian antiquity. All in classics, Greek and Latin antiquity.
Okay, let's go in here.
Loading. Please wait. The Acharnians by Aristophanes.
1 of 300.
Okay, let's see if we can do anything with this one by Aristophanes.
Play sample.
Oh, we can. Here we go.
Synopsis. Details. Add to my bookshelf.
I'm going to add it to my bookshelf
Play sample.
on the basis that we can't actually play it unless I do that.
Add to my bookshelf. Add to my bookshelf.
So this is interesting. It doesn't tell me that it's done it. It just says add to my bookshelf again. But
Place add to
if
my
I try and add it to my bookshelf again,
Already on your bookshelf.
already on my
Add to my
bookshelf, I
bookshelf.
think a confirmation there or that changes to added to bookshelf or something would be quite helpful. All I got was a little bing without anything else. So let's go play it, shall we?
All in classics, Greek
It doesn't
and Latin
sound fantastically interesting, if I'm honest, so I don't know how long it'll stay on my bookshelf.
Classics, Greek and
Browse books by genre.
Browse books by genre. I think that was the second option, so I'm going to swipe up to my bookshelf.
My bookshelf.
Yeah, I'll swipe right.
The Acharnians by Aristophanes.
There we go. Let's have a little play, or swipe right anyway, see what it does.
Start listening.
What are my options? I can start listening.
Start listening with sleep timer.
Start listening with sleep timer. I think I'll fall asleep pretty quickly during this. 3 seconds. Is that a sleep timer we want for Aristophanes?
Play from specific section. Synopsis. Details. Removed from bookshelf. Start listening.
We'll start listening.
During playback, swipe right for more options.
Preface and introduction to the Acharnians. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Expatriate in Bangor, Maine. The Acharnians by Aristophanes. Translated by Charles James Bilson, 1858 to 1932. Translator's preface and introduction.
You are listening to section 1 of 4, preface and introduction.
Sleep timer.
I think you've got the point. So we've got our sleep timer again.
Go to beginning of this section. Go to next section. Set playback speed. Sleep timer.
And so that's what we have. We're back round again. So I'm going to swipe left repeatedly out of audiobooks.
Production.
Continue listening. The Acharnians.
My bookshelf.
LibriVox audiobook. Listen to audiobooks.
And there we go.
Browse YouTube.
I'm not going to browse YouTube. I think you get the idea as to how this works. I will look at some of the other ones though.
Music on my phone.
I don't have any music on my phone, so that would be a short-lived demonstration.
Listen to podcasts.
Listen to podcasts.
My favorites. Featured podcasts.
Featured podcasts.
Top podcasts. Top podcasts by category. Search. Top podcasts.
Now, I'm not sure what we're using as a podcast directory here or how many podcasts it has access to. I'll look at top podcasts. As I say, I'm not sure how this is done. Is it done through users of Voxmate or is it some other thing? I'm not sure. I'm going to swipe right and see what we've got in top podcasts.
Stuff you should know.
1 of 50.
This American Life.
2 of 50.
Serial.
3 of 50.
Fresh Air.
4 of 50.
There you go. So some pretty famous mainstream podcasts in here. I'm going to come out.
Top podcasts.
I'll go up.
Featured podcasts.
Let's see what's in featured podcasts.
Blind Android users.
Oh, now here you go.
1 of 2.
Here's a podcast you want to know about. Blind Android users. Why don't we have a look at this?
Blind Android users podcast episode 39. Don't touch the dial and chat with Voxmate.
What?
Introduction, the Android journey.
40 of 40.
So why don't we, instead of playing the latest episode, why don't we play Blind Android Users episode 1, albeit it appears to be unnumbered, but let's just forget that. I swiped up, so it rapped. I do wonder whether a little rapping noise might be quite nice when we get to the end of a menu, a little didding or something to let us know that we have, in fact, cycled round. I'm going to swipe right to play episode 1. This predates me. I don't think I came on board till about 12 or 13, albeit I'd done my Android journey before then. Here we go.
During playback, swipe right for more options.
Oh, bless, the music's changed.
It is time for the Blind Android Users podcast from blindandroidusers.com. Kick back and enjoy this podcast from a blindness perspective.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 1 of the Blind Android Users podcast. My name is Austin Pinto and I'm from Mumbai, India. And today we have 2 other hosts with me. And everyone, welcome Warren Carr.
Thank you so much, Austin, for that wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Warren Carr.
And Dennis Long. Hello Warren, how are you? And welcome to the show.
So if I swipe right, I don't know why there's a sleep timer option for the Blind Android Users podcast. There's no danger of anyone going to sleep. You know, if you start listening to this, you're up till it's done. So I think somehow for this podcast and this podcast only, they need to find a way of disabling the sleep timer feature just because it's entirely gratuitous. Can something be entirely gratuitous? It probably can't. It's just gratuitous, isn't it? I think I fell into tautology there. I'm sorry about that. But yes, I think we can all agree you don't need a sleep timer when listening to Blind Android Users. Let's swipe down.
Podcast details.
I don't know what they are. Let's go see what's in podcast details.
About 42 minutes and 6 seconds remaining of the introduction, the Android journey.
I like
listening to Blind Android Users podcast.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
Sleep timer.
I like the fact it said there were about 42 minutes and 6 seconds. It's pretty precise for an about. Anyway, I'll swipe down.
Podcast details. Playback speed. Restart playback. Add podcast channel to favorites.
So we can add Blind Android Users to favorites. That must be done.
Added podcast to favorites.
Obviously, you'll all want to do
Sleep
that.
timer.
And I swiped right to shut it up. I could have equally swiped left. We'll swipe left again to get out of
Here
podcasts.
today. Introduction, the Blind Android Users featured podcasts.
Let's just check it did add it to my favorites.
My favorite. Continue. My favorites. Blind Android Users My favorites. Continue listening.
Oh, and we have a new option that didn't used to exist, a continue listening option, which is quite good. And that's in our main podcast menu now, so very handy.
Listen to podcasts. Tune into radio.
Tune into radio. Let's go and have a little look at this.
Pick which radio station you would like to listen to. Browse local stations.
Let's see what options I've got.
Search for stations. Settings. Browse local stations.
Well, let's see what we've got in settings.
Grouping stations is disabled.
No,
Grouping stations is disabled.
grouping stations is disabled. I'm not.
To group stations into a menu-like structure. Useful when you have a lot of stations.
Okay. I'm going to swipe left.
Settings. Browse local stations.
Aberdeen.
1 of 6.
Aberystwyth. Ashkirk.
3 of
So what it's done is pulled up various UK towns, or in some instances it'll be counties.
Search for stations.
Given that our only options are local stations, search and settings, I wonder whether they need to have that local stations at a bit of a higher level, because people don't just want to listen to stations in the country they live in. They want to listen to stations from around the world. So I wonder if you're going to have local stations, maybe you need some other geography thing where I can pick Europe, North America, Australasia, and have it drill down there. I think only having search and then parochial towns is, perhaps they can add some stuff in time. It is early access and it's looking really good, obviously. So we're on a search again. I'll swipe right.
Use the double tap and hold command to search.
I'll do a double tap and hold. Oh, that didn't sound like it worked. Let me try that again.
Searching for. Sound like it worked when you try that again.
Oh, maybe it
Nothing
did.
found.
It just
Search
didn't.
for stations. Use the double tap
I didn't
and
get
hold
the
command to search.
typical Google Assistant type beep I got last time. BBC.
Searching for. BBC. BBC Radio 1.
1 of 49.
BBC Radio 5 Live. 2
of 49.
BBC World Service News.
3 of 49.
Let's see if we can play World Service News.
During playback, swipe right for track info.
Very recently, a former head of the MI5 intelligence
There you
service.
go. I'll swipe
Check
right.
track details. Set sleep timer.
Listen to BBC World Service News. Add to favorites.
We can add it.
Move to the top of favorites.
Check track details.
Oh, so that's quite good. You can add it to favorites and you can reorder your favorites by moving things to the top. That's quite neat. I'm going to swipe left.
Okay, Eliza.
BBC World.
Search for stations.
Tune into radio. World News.
And we finished our tour of entertainment apps. I'll swipe out of this.
Entertainment. Social. Game. Social. Audio forum. Telegram.
So we'll look at Audio Forum in a minute. Let's go into Telegram.
Use the numpad grid to enter your full international phone number, starting with your country code. Use up, down, left, and right to go around the dial pad. Double tap to pick numbers and symbols.
Nearly done. I'm just using the grid as we did on the dialer. It's the same setup. You navigate left and right around the numpad, across the numpad, and then in vertical lines.
You should soon receive an authorization code by Telegram message. Use the numpad grid to enter the 5-digit auth code.
And I'll
double
just
tap to
double tap to continue.
Kishimo screen reader. Official, etc.
Permanently muted group with 5,196 unread messages.
Wowzers. So I'm in my groups.
Telegram.
Chat with 1 unread message.
Blind Android users chat.
Group with 1 unread message and 1 mention.
So if I swipe right.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a live tile. New messages will be announced here. Swipe right to compose new text message, or double tap and hold to begin recording a voice message. Send emoji. Share location with the group. Mute group. Pin group. Add group member. Leave group. Leave group. Leave group.
Oh, so
Add
that
group,
doesn't
pin
that. That's
group,
kind of
mute group,
interesting.
Share send emoji. This is a live tile.
Hello, good evening.
Musa Mwambu 2 hours ago. Musa Mwambu 2 hours. Musa Mwambu 2.
Blind Android. I don't think that this one falls in that category, Drago. This would be like saying we could talk about new pipe or blind Android users chat.
So what happens here is that, unlike in other areas, so on the speed thing, when we were changing voice speed, essentially we were landed at the top. In Telegram, when it lands you in the most recent message, that is at the bottom. So you swipe up to read your Telegram messages within a group or a chat. And you swipe down, as you heard it say, a live tile. I had swiped down, expecting maybe that's how you move through the messages, thinking it would land you at the top of the window. So you swipe up to read your messages, starting the most recent, moving up, getting earlier and earlier. Let's see what happens.
Hello, good evening.
I don't think that this one falls.
I'm going to swipe right to see if it'll let me reply to it.
This would
Warren Carr 2 hours ago replying to an earlier message by Dragos.
reply.
So I can reply to Warren.
Read original message. Message parts.
Warren Carr 2 hours ago replying to an earlier
And I could
message
read
by
the
Dragos.
original message from there. So you
I
get
don't
the
think
idea.
this blind Android users chat. Austin Pinto. Podcast crew.
I've got all my Telegram messages in there.
Reddit.
I'm not on Reddit, so I don't think I can show you Reddit.
Audio forum.
I will show you the audio forum though. Let's swipe right to see what this does.
Voxmate Forum is an audio forum where everyone can find help related to Voxmate, get support, and just have a meaningful chat. Here we create a sense of belonging. Before we begin, let's go through some ground rules. Rule 1. Be respectful. Voxmate Forum is a place for developing a strong community, not for attacking or humiliating people. Stay respectful even with people who don't agree with you. Everyone has a right to have a forum free of bullying, harassment, or threats. Rule 2. Be authentic. You don't have to use your real name to be on forum, but don't impersonate an individual or an entity. A nickname is automatically generated for you, but you can always change it in settings. Rule 3. Be inclusive. Tolerate and welcome various people and opinions. Rule 4. Respect the privacy of others. Do not reveal anyone's personal or confidential information, and don't be intrusive. We have a variety of ways of enforcing our rules, including, but not limited to, reminding you nicely to follow them. If that doesn't work, we can ask you less nicely, and then suspend your account temporarily or permanently. That said, on behalf of the Voxmate team, a heartfelt welcome. Swipe right to accept the community rules.
Okay, you heard the rules. Let's swipe right.
Topics.
Meet and greet.
Say hi to the Voxmate team and other Voxmate users. 10 new threads.
Swipe
Swipe
down.
right to open this topic.
Voxmate help.
Ask anything you want to know about Voxmate. 12 new threads.
Technology.
Let's chat about technology and how it can make our lives better. 1 new thread.
Request new features.
Got an idea for a new Voxmate feature? We're listening. 17 new threads.
Fun.
Got anything fun and light to share? 6 new threads.
Personal growth.
Become the best possible version of yourself. 7 new threads.
I'm already amazing. There's nothing
Swipe
for
right
me
to
in
open
there.
this top.
General chat.
Got something else on your mind? Tell us. 4 new threads.
General chat.
Got
General
Yeah,
chat.
so
Got
interesting.
something else on your mind? Tell us. 4 new threads.
You'll notice that behavior on Telegram as well.
Swipe right to open
It
this
didn't
topic.
wrap,
Double tap for options.
whereas it does in the main menu and in other apps. I wonder why that is. Anyway, not particularly a big deal. Let's go
Personal
and
fun. Request
see what
technology.
can
Voxmate
happen in
help.
here.
Ask
Let's look at request
new
features.
threads in request new features.
New audio thread by Stupefied Beaver.
Swipe right to open this thread. Double tap for options. Swipe up to start a new thread.
I'll swipe up and see what it does.
Start a new thread in request new features.
I'm going to swipe right.
Use the double tap and hold gesture to begin recording, or swipe right to open text editor.
We haven't looked at the text editor yet, so I'm going to swipe right and see how that
Use the
works.
double tap and you're in the text editor. Swipe up and down for editor options. Double tap and hold to narrate text. Swipe down and right to open keyboard. To jump between words, swipe left and right. Double tap to finish editing. Edit.
So I'm going to swipe up.
Open keyboard. Paste. Editor settings. Insert emoji. Insert bracket. Insert symbol. Open keyboard.
So let's open the keyboard with a swipe right.
Showing keyboard in landscape. Charge port to your right.
Okay.
F.
F.
D.
FD.
Okay, so what we have here then is something a little bit like Gboard insofar as you slide your finger around and lift it to have a letter entered. I wonder how I get rid of the keyboard.
K.
FDJ.
Comma.
FD.
I. U. K.
FDJ make.
Interesting. I'm not sure how we dismiss the keyboard.
Dot. E. W. Close.
Ah,
Open keyboard.
so with the charge port to the right, there was a close button where the escape key might be presumed to be. I'm going to open the keyboard again because I don't think that saved my text. I wonder if there's some sort of submit button once I've entered some text.
Showing keyboard in landscape. Charge port to your right.
Maybe here's a time to see if there's any context-sensitive help.
Comma.
Not on the keyboard itself, there isn't.
Backspace. Number space. M N B V C X Z. Shift. Emoji close. Q W E R T W I O P backspace. Back.
So we've got a close button. I think this is probably prime time for a keyboard help or a help gesture. Let's have a look.
Help.
You're in the text editor. Swipe up and down for editor options. Double tap and hold to narrate text. Swipe down and right to open keyboard. To jump between words, swipe left and right. Double tap to finish editing.
So that's what I would have had to do. Double tap to finish editing. That would have got us out of the keyboard, I think. And then the close button in the top right hand corner. So there you have it. We've done a double tap and hold to record when we did a search. I don't think I need to show you that again. So I'm now going to swipe out of here.
FDJ make.
Start. Start a new thread and request new features.
And closing the keyboard did just that. It kept the text I entered in the text editor. So it didn't, in fact, lose it. I just got rid of the keyboard. I could have double tapped instead of pressing that escape key, I think. So there you have it. That's the audio forum.
Request new features. Audio forum. Telegram. Reddit.
I don't think I can reasonably play any messages in there. They are for users of Voxmate. I'm going to come out of here.
Social. Games.
I'm not a massive games player, but let's take a look at what's in here.
Game Club. Play Voxville Early Access. Play Sudoku. Play Mathdoku. Play Quiz. Play Blackjack. Game Club.
What's Game Club?
Click. Please pick a new nickname. You're in the text editor. Swipe up and down for editor options.
No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't want to set up
a profile.
Game Club.
I don't want to set up Game Club. Why don't I have a look at the quiz game?
People online.
Play Voxville or play Sudoku. Play Mathdoku. Play Quiz.
I'm going to play Quiz.
New game of Quiz.
You have 3 lives. Question 1 video games.
What was Frank West's job in Dead Rising?
Chef.
So I have some choices.
Janitor. Photojournalist.
I have no idea. I'm going to go photojournalist.
That's right.
Question 2 history.
In 1453, which important city fell?
Athens. Hamburg. Rome. Hamburg.
I'm going to go Hamburg.
That's not the right answer.
I knew
I'm
it
afraid
wasn't.
the right answer is Constantinople.
Oh.
You have 2 lives left. Question 3 computers.
What does CPU stand for?
Central
Computer
Processing
Personal
Unit.
Central Processing Unit.
There we are.
I'm sorry, that's wrong.
Oh no, processor.
Central Processing Unit.
Yeah, it said
You
processor,
have
not
just 1
ing.
life left.
There we go.
Question 4 musicals and theatres.
Doctor Who. Star David Tennant performed in a rendition of which Shakespearean play?
The
But-
Taming of the Shrew.
You get the idea. You can swipe down for answers. You swipe right to select them. So I'm going to swipe out of here.
Continue to play quiz, games, resources.
And now we're on resources. Again, I'm going to swipe right to see what we've got.
The Knowledge Village. Coronavirus pandemic. The Knowledge Village.
Not many resources, although the Knowledge Village could be quite extensive, I suppose. I'm not going to read about the coronavirus pandemic, but let's swipe right to look at Knowledge Village.
COVID-19.
The COVID-19 pandemic is impacting lives across the globe.
Yeah, swipe
Our
down.
role is
Apps.
whether you want to read your post, navigate independently, access books, or do your shopping, there are accessible apps out there that will enable you to do all this and more.
Technology.
Technology is a game changer for people with sight loss and with the right training can restore independence.
I'll swipe right.
Google Chromebook. Is it accessible? Blog.
In this blog, Mark shares tips on what Henshaws are doing to support the Greater Manchester Digital Task Force.
So I think this knowledge village is all from Henshaws, judging by some of the other things I've read on it. So you can swipe right and you can read it a little bit like the articles we read in the newsreader. I'm
Technology.
going to come out of here.
Utilities.
Let's have a look at what's in utilities.
Make notes. What's nearby?
Let's have a look at what's nearby.
Gwendor Gardens.
202 meters away. 1 of 50.
Independent Age.
215 meters away. 2 of 50.
North End, Fulham.
228 meters away. 3 of 50.
West Kensington Tube Station.
237 meters away. 4 of 50.
West Kensington.
246 meters away.
Society for Psychical Research.
269 meters.
West Ashfield Tube Station.
294 meters away. 7 of 50.
So some of this is a bit wonky. There's no such thing as West Ashfield Tube Station for a start. And all these distances seem suspiciously similar. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Perhaps, well, I don't know. I don't think I can explain it. I know that location accuracy is purported to be better with Wi-Fi enabled for reasons I don't fully understand. I don't use my phone on Wi-Fi because I have unlimited data, so I may as well exploit it.
Kensington Row.
302 meters away.
Barons Court Theatre.
414 meters.
Pure London.
432.
Radio Olympia.
432.
You get the idea. It has landmarks with distances. They're in a column, so that's. I'm going to go back in here and see if we can swipe right on any of them and see what they do.
Independent Age. Gwendor Gardens. North End. West Kensington.
I'm going to swipe right.
West Kensington is a London Underground District Line station in West Kensington. It is located on North End Road B317, close to its junction with West Cromwell Road, Talgarth Road A4.
That's quite helpful. I'm going to see what this tube station that I don't think exists says about it.
West Kensington, Society for Kensington Row. West Kensington, West Ashfield Tube Station.
There it is. Let's have a look at West Ashfield. Oh, it's moved 20 meters.
West Ashfield Underground Station is a mock-up London Underground District Line station on the 3rd floor of Ashfield House in West Kensington.
Ah!
It is used for staff training purposes and was opened in 2010 at a cost of £800,000.
So that probably wants to be described differently to a tube station in case anyone tries to go find it. It does exist though, which I didn't know, but it possibly shouldn't be listed in the straight vanilla way that West Kensington Tube Station is, as I say, in case anyone thinks it's a tube stop. So this is interesting. It's a column of information. I'm not immediately sure. Perhaps it's because it's early access. Perhaps they will do more things with this in future.
West Ashfield Underground Station is a mock-up London West.
I don't appear to be able to put a beacon on it or anything, or, you know, it tells me how far it is and it tells me what road it's on, but I don't get a sense from these landmarks as to where they are in relation to me or where they are in relation to each other. But it's interesting. You can certainly see some of the things that are around you. So I'm going to come out of that.
Utilities, early access feedback.
Oh, I didn't mean to come out of utilities entirely.
What's near scan text?
So scan text. I don't have any text with me right now, but I'm going to open scan text and see what it does.
New scan. My scans.
So I'm swiping down. We had new scan, my scans.
Help. New scan.
And help. I will draw us a circle on the screen.
There's no contextual help available right now.
Okay, so let's go into the help that is there.
The scanner uses your built-in camera to scan printed text. When scanning books or documents, you can place the phone on the document, align it and lift about half a meter up. When scanning printed text on household goods, try holding it at arm's length in front of the camera. It's important to align the camera upright with the text, so if you are getting bad results, try rotating the camera.
There we are.
Help. Scan text. Make notes. What's nearby? Scan tech. Make notes.
And we'll open the notes app, I think. I think this will take us back to the text editor, but let's have a look.
Record a new voice note. Make a new text note. Record a new voice.
Use the double tap and hold gesture to begin recording.
So we've done that when we searched for stations. I think that's demonstrating the same principle. I don't need to do that.
Record and make a new text. You're in the text editor. Swipe up and down for editor options. Double tap and hold to narrate text. Swipe down and right to open keyboard. Open keyboard.
And so there we are. Yeah, it's same as when we were looking at the keyboard before.
Make notes. What's nearby?
And that's it for utilities.
Utilities. Early access feedback.
And we can provide feedback on this early access on this beta. That's quite right.
Record a message to send to our feedback team.
Use the double tap and hold gesture to begin recording.
And there we are. That's early access.
Settings.
We've been in settings.
It's now 22.
And we're back round to phone. So that, folks, is a brief tour of the Voxmate app. We haven't covered absolutely everything that the app can do. I hope, though, you found this useful and it's given you a flavour of this app's capability. As I say, it's primarily aimed at people who struggle to use the TalkBack interface, but I think I would argue that apps such as the World News and possibly also the Telegram layout would benefit those who are very confident at using the touchscreen. But, you know, we've had various discussions on lists and on groups about problematic web view implementations. And given the array of news sources in the World News app, then this might actually be an option for some of those who are very confident in using TalkBack. So I hope you've enjoyed this and do check out the app. It's a project I think well worth supporting. The Voxmate portal is quite handy because it enables you to configure Voxmate from a Windows environment or indeed any other operating system via a website. So you could theoretically do it on your Android phone, I suppose. It's good because it means that someone else can configure Voxmate for someone who's struggling, and that includes Voxmate themselves. They will configure your Voxmate remotely. So to find the Voxmate portal, you go to my.voxmate.com and you log in with your Google account and take it from there.
No, unfortunately, Voxmate is not available in India. So I've contacted Voxmate supports and they have said they are launching it shortly.
Does it allow to use apps more accessibly?
So the whole idea is to make your usage of the phone a whole lot easier, and it's absolutely beautiful for people who are just getting started and don't want to be bothered by a lot of the different things that we have to go through on Android or whatever. And so the whole concept is just that swipe, baby swipe. All it takes is those 4 swipes, up, down, left, or right. And that's the crux of the matter with Voxmate. Gleb is working hard to bring more apps and more features to it. But I do want to mention here in passing, though, that one should not, that's my recommendation, is that one should not choose to use the launcher, because if you use that launcher, you're not going to see your home screen as you know it. So think of it like you're using like a file browser of some sort. And so you're going to see all your apps. Like, for instance, if you go to your system settings and apps, and then you decide to see all apps, that's what you're going to see. So it's not, I don't recommend using the launcher for the time being.
One of the things that surprised me about Voxmate a little bit was the approach they took to the keyboard. Because in a world where you're swiping up, down, left, and right, and having to do definite things to confirm actions like swiping right, like double tap and holding, they went for a keyboard which flipped your phone from portrait to landscape and which involved a lift to type input method. I thought that was quite brave.
Yeah, the keyboard input is a little different. putting you in landscape mode. And I don't know why they chose that, but probably if it were up to me, I probably wouldn't have gone that route. I'd just leave it in portrait mode.
But I'd have also gone double tap input too. I wouldn't have gone lift to type for the sorts of users they're targeting, I don't think.
Yeah.
Nothing else is lift to type. The dialer isn't.
No. Maybe that's something we should have talked with Gleb about, but of course,
I didn't know. I hadn't played with it by then.
I didn't even look into that.
No, I didn't. I only played with it later. I thought that was an awfully brave implementation. It's like, I don't actually know what's going on. What on earth has happened?
And it's just very interesting. So it's there.
Yeah, no, it was fine. I worked out what it did, and I closed it. I wasn't quite sure because it had a close button where the escape button would normally be. So it took me a little while to work out when I hit that.
Yeah.
Did it discard the text or did it keep the text?
That is true. It could be a little bit daunting for someone who is not familiar to find where that close button is. And then another thing that I would have loved to see come to Voxmate is that to quit Voxmate, one does not need to go into that settings to go, click on the quit Voxmate. It should be there in the main UI. Yeah.
Needs a gesture. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. But no, it is good. Do support it. It's a great project. It's got a real human interest backstory to it. They're doing amazing things. They're really responsive. So, and if you do, and I think I say in the demo that even for power users, some of the things are really good, particularly something like the Telegram client. It's a really productive way to use Telegram. And it doesn't have some of the annoying features that the main Telegram client has, like what do you want to do when all the audio recordings start playing? And if you're listening on one speaker and it automatically starts you recording a Telegram message and all the other little quirks that are perfectly navigable, but, are just wrinkles of the main Telegram client. The Voxmate one is cleaner.
And it's good for reading those news articles as well, if you're someone who likes reading news articles. And of course, our podcast is there, the featured podcast.
I know. I don't know why there's a sleep timer on our podcast, though. No one needs a sleep timer for the blind Android users. It just ain't a thing, is it?
Trying to get rid of my knucklehead, I guess.
No, that LibreVox, though. I shouldn't criticize LibreVox. It's brilliant. It puts lots of public domain stuff out for us folks to listen to. But the one I picked yesterday, I think, was particularly heavy. Never mind. Anyway, it's a great app. So great platform. I should stop calling it an app. It has lots of apps on it or applets. So it is a platform. Do check it out.